So, today, again, another episode of the Team Takeover podcast. And today we have a very, very special guest. We have Twitch streamer and former NBA player Rod Ford. Before we introduce our guest, we are going to, or we're currently live on the Unbeatable Jacob Twitch channel. Obviously, this is going to be on the DBG YouTube channel. So if you guys want to see this live, a link will be in the description. Obviously, a link to Rod's social media will be in the description as well. So, introduce yourself.
So on Twitch, I'm Big Serato 5, the Raw Squad.
Raw Squad.
Yes, sir, Raw Squad, baby. Should I just go ahead and explain, the whole rundown?
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, basically, so I'm originally from Maryland. I went to Clemson University, did 4 years there. Went undrafted. Just did the whole summer league thing. Ended up getting picked up with the Spurs. Did a training camp. Probably was a really good experience. One of the best experiences I've ever had. Basketball wise, just because about the people that I was around. Got cut and then got picked up by the Suns. Only played a half a season with Phoenix, but I mean it was an official season. After that, I did the D League for a while, and then that's when my overseas run started. I did about 12 years in Europe. I played in Germany, Italy, France, Russia, and Turkey was the last country I played in. Now, I've been retired for about 3 years. Been playing my team I've been playing 2K forever. I recently just picked up my team maybe 3 or 4 years ago, around the time when I retired. And I'm just chilling.
Happy to have you on,
man. Trying to enjoy the game. Trying to.
Can definitely relate to that. That's crazy though, man. We were talking about it, definitely want to see you in the game soon, man. I think
for sure.
There's definitely no reason not to be.
So I know I was in a 2K. I played in Germany, and the team was in the Euroleague. So that was the first or second year they did that, where all the Euroleague teams were in the game. So I was officially in the game. I think it was maybe 13 or 14. 2K. But
yeah, we'll definitely have to have a look because they're in all the offline rosters. We're gonna have to have a look at that at some stage. There's no reason for you not to be on my team. It would be such even throwing you in as a Ruby card or something in a set. No one's opened the cards for them, and then 2K themselves can promote it being on Twitch or being you watch Rod Ford using his own card live on Twitch. I was it's a good look for them. I just never understood why. It's that's the big reason why Wang Jiji was in the game. So not Wang Jiji, Ha Sung Jin. Because he has a social media following. They really brought him into the game so that he could kind of use it for his social media to promote the game. I don't understand why they wouldn't.
I mean, it's not like there's some sort of barrier as far as time in the league goes, because Yuta, the Boost, I remember DBG, he played 5 games in the league last year, or 5 games in the league in his career. Ha Swang Jin, I don't think got much burn. Pretty sure he was probably there around the league the same time that you were, Rod. But I want to ask, what kind of jump shot you want if they push you in the game, Rod?
I would have to go with a LaMarcus base. I got a long jump shot. It's up there. I need a LaMarcus base.
So you mean the one that he used to have? Not the
new. Maybe okay. And the one he had in 1920, something like that.
Base 11.
He's shooting over people.
Yeah. So Dinwiddie's shot's probably closest to that. What's that base? 77? Is it?
I haven't played with his cards.
I think Dinwiddie just jumps really high. Because Aldridge now doesn't leave the ground. Aldridge has a set shot. They changed Aldridge.
They changed Aldridge base last year, and it's not good now. But at one point in time, that was a burner. But
I have an athletic stretch.
Jeez, you play. So I know, obviously, you're with one of the teams of Summer League, and you were half season one teams. But they are 2 of the best teams of their era as well. That you were at least in and around.
For sure.
The Spurs Dynasty and the first year of the 7 seconds or less, or second year of 7 seconds or less Suns.
Yeah, so that team, that's the year Steve Nash was the second MVP. Maybe Kobe should have won it that year, but Steve Nash did play good. He definitely played good that year. But that was
Was that the year Amare was injured for like the whole thing?
Yeah, that was pretty much why I was there. I mean, I wasn't gonna fill in for him, but they needed bench spots, so that's pretty much the reason I was there because he had just came off the surgery.
Yeah, and funnily enough, the only Irish-born player ever in the NBA was on that team as well, wasn't he?
Pat Burke. Pat Burke was my man. I remember me and him used to fight for minutes, like real live. Like he'd be like, "Yo, sub out, youngin." I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm trying to play because me and him are fighting. Like, who's gonna play?" Like I definitely remember that, me and him fighting for minutes. But he was a cool dude, though. He was real cool.
Yeah, like that's when you see someone like him. Like, that's when you start to realize, like, how good NBA players were. Like, he kind of played end of the bench, or he was kind of one of the end of the bench players for that Phoenix team. But, like, when he used to come back and play for the Irish national team, he was this ultra-athletic, 6'11" big who could handle the ball, was pulling from 30. He looked like
Europe, he was the
best freaking player in the world.
Yeah, in Europe, he was the man, though. When he played in Spain, like, Pat Burke was big time. I didn't find that out until I started playing in Europe. But he was big time in Europe.
Yeah. Like we almost qualified. Like Ireland is not a great basketball country at all. Like I'm 6'1" and I've made an underage national team playing center. Like that's how little like basketball is taken seriously here. But we nearly qualified for the European Championships when he was on our team. That's how good Pat Burke and a couple of other guys were at that stage, that era.
Pat Burke could play. Definitely.
Yeah.
That's crazy though, man. Like I know you played a lot of places overseas, but you were just naming off countries left and right. Like you were worldwide, man. That's like how many different countries? 5 or 6 different countries you played in over a 12-year span?
Yeah, 5 or 6. But I mean, I was definitely fortunate. Cause like me just leaving straight from like the D League to the NBA, like a lot of guys, that transition is tough. Like going from America to overseas is tough. It's not easy. People just think, oh, it's just the same. Like you don't have the same toothpaste. You don't have the same. The soda doesn't taste the same. The water doesn't taste the same.
Yeah.
Like it's a different transition. And some guys just get caught up. For me, I dealt with it pretty good. So,
Where was your favorite country to play out of all the ones you played in?
Easy, Paris. I mean, you can't beat Paris. I say that because Paris, it's the city of Paris. I mean, of course, you can't beat that city. So much to see, so much to do. And then I played well there too. So I say Paris was definitely one of my favorite cities. France was my favorite country.
Were you involved in any of like the crazy EuroLeague fan situations where they're like throwing flares on the court or anything? Like, have you ever seen like when Olympiacos play Panathinaikos or something?
Yeah.
The games are getting abandoned.
Yeah, I only played against Panathinaikos once. It was in a EuroLeague game. For those EuroLeague games, they really didn't get crazy. The only time they really got crazy is when they played other Greek teams, like Panathinaikos, Olympiacos played. Like it was going to be some trouble. Like the other team can't even come in the gym. That's it. You can only have one side in there.
Yeah, it's funny. Like a lot of I've been talking to Americans and they're like, "Oh, college basketball crowds are crazy." I'm like, no. Like you go there. You go to Serbia when it's like Red Star
Eastern
versus
Europe is nuts.
Yeah, it's like Red Star versus who's the other Serb? There's Red Star versus Partizan. Yeah, it's probably getting abandoned.
Red Star's worse though.
Is Red Star worse?
People know about Partizan because it's the bigger team, but Red Star is pretty tough too.
Yeah,
and like we played Partizan one year. We had to have like security. Like we leave, they have the riot shields as we're going in onto the court, and they're holding riot shields over our head as we're walking onto the court to play the game.
I feel like you're in Call of Duty with some riot shield protection.
It's crazy. Don't stop playing good. Man, yeah. They will start throwing stuff on the court, all that.
Oh, it's one of those situations where I feel like I would have loved to have played something like that, but I'd say at the time it's scary.
It was fun. I will say it was definitely fun. Like the atmosphere, the intensity. I don't think I really ever feared like anything would happen to me. But I mean, that might have been just being me naive, because being really naive. But it was fun.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say
I was lucky too.
college crowds don't really compare to that. I mean, obviously, I've never been over there, but seen videos online. I mean, college crowds here in America are just loud. That's about the worst it really gets nowadays. I mean, they're very passionate. They're all going to come decked out in their team gear. They're going to be really loud and jump around a lot, but not at the point where the other team has to come in with riot shields like they're playing Modern Warfare. Like, it's not that bad.
Like when COVID's over, like I'm not gonna go somewhere absolutely crazy like Serbia, but like I have a lot of Lithuanian friends. There's a lot of them over here that play basketball over here. Like I would love to go over to like to watch Zalgiris, go over to Kaunas, watch Zalgiris play something. It's like that seems to be crazy, but not quite Serbia crazy.
Yeah, it's probably. I don't think it's as crazy over there. But Lithuanians are crazy about their basketball. I mean, they're a small country, so they only really have basketball. I mean, they have soccer too, but basketball is their main sport. I think
they are. Like there's a whole loads of Lithuanians came over to Ireland around 15 years ago, and a lot of guys that were playing LKL in the top league because they don't get paid very well in Lithuania moved over just like to work in construction in Ireland and started playing ball over here. It was like a new level of basketball. It's like I remember watching a team of all Lithuanian guys the very first time they came over. I was probably like 12, and normally in the mid 2000s teams were shooting a couple of threes. These guys every single possession 1-2 bang. 1-2 bang. It's like, oh, yeah, we've never seen that before.
But
actually,
go ahead.
One player I want to ask about: how good was Tony Parker? He just seems to be like, from watching him play, he just seems basically unguardable.
Tony Parker is just super quick. Like that was just the thing. Like when he get in a pick and roll, it's tough. Big guys, you can't stay in front of him. And he hit you with one move, boom, he's right there to the basket. I mean, you got guys like around him, Tim Duncan around him, Robert Ory, you put guys like Manu Ginobili around him. You can't really help off, so you're just dealing with that pick and roll situation. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, because he was just the one, even of all of those Spurs teams, like obviously Duncan, like I'm not making the case he was better than Duncan. Duncan's one of the greatest of all time, but it's like, even in 2013, I remember LeBron, they've had to put LeBron on Tony Parker in that finals, and LeBron couldn't even deal with him. Like, they put LeBron on him down the stretch, and Tony Parker in 2013 was too quick. And it's just like, how good must he be to be going by
lightning quick,
like ISOing on LeBron?
Lightning quick.
Yeah,
I mean, really not even too many moves. He's just jab step, get into the basket, maybe a hesitation, boom.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't really a 3-point shooter. He was all mid-range.
Yeah. Floaters, deadly. He was Brian dudes with the floaters.
He led the league in points in the paint as a point guard. He's the only point guard to ever do that.
Dang.
That's wild.
Jeez. Which is actually crazy.
You would think that like Westbrook would have maybe had that right around the time when he was averaging like 30 a game, but
I know Westbrook was chucking that year. In 2017, Westbrook was chucking.
Yeah. How would he finish with like
choking?
That's true.
30 a game or something that year?
But
it's the most.
What was the biggest difference between playing in the States and playing in Europe? Because there are a lot of scenarios where good NBA players go over to Europe and really struggle. And then there's scenarios where there's like guys that wouldn't be good enough for the NBA really excel playing in Euroleague. So what was the real difference, and what like kind of players do you think it suits going overseas, and what kind of players do you think is better for them to try to drop to the G League and maybe work their way back?
Well, for one, the basketball is it's a totally different game. The way it's played, it's a little slower. It's not as many points, so guys got to kind of get used to that. Like in the States, you can shoot 15 shots as a point guard. In Europe, they're gonna want you to pass the ball more, unless you're just like already a top-notch scorer coming over. I guess more of a slow down game, and just really getting used to the culture. And if you can adjust to the life, I think it's much easier for the American guys, because it's really difficult adjusting to that style.
Were there any places you were that were like, obviously everywhere is a little bit different, but what was kind of most like similar place to America? What place would have liked most different?
Germany was more like America. You got a lot of American stuff, a lot of Americans over there. They speak English. I would say I would say when I was in Russia, I played in St. Petersburg. That was different.
Yeah,
I mean, it's dark, it's snowing. They drive on top of the snow over there. Like they don't even plow it off the street. They just got the cars on top of the snow with snow
It's
wheels.
that Russian way of living.
That's
Yeah, man.
yeah, it's just it's like
they don't
stereotypical Russian thing.
They don't even let the Americans drive. Like they give you a driver. Like you can't. They don't even let you drive a car. Because like they corrupt over there. They see American black dude driving. Like police for sure gonna pull you over, and they gonna ask for money.
They got all those insurance scammers as well who jump out in front of cars. Such a weird place.
Hey, at least you didn't. You had a driver and didn't have to worry about it there anyway.
I wouldn't want to drive over there.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're driving on top of snow anyways. I don't think I'd want to do it regardless, even if I had my license.
Dudes be out there moving it though, moving on top. I'm telling you, on top of the snow, like it's nothing.
Places to go, people to meet, I guess. I don't know, man.
Yo, St. Petersburg is definitely a nice city. If you ever get a chance, like I know people hear bad things about Russia, but St. Petersburg is a beautiful city.
Yeah, St. Petersburg and Moscow are like two of the like highest cost of living places in all of Europe. Like they're like two of the nicer cities. But then there's obviously other parts of Russia where it's like you probably wouldn't want to be.
Nah, let me see. Yeah. Siberia, yes. But they got teams out there sometimes though. Like guys really go ahead.
I was about to say, was there anywhere that was particularly dangerous that you ended up living, or were we just lucky kind of that you were kind of okay?
I mean, my last year, I played in Turkey. There were a few like bombs that went off in certain places, but nothing that was really too crazy. Actually, my first year in Turkey, do you remember when they did that coup? That whole coup thing? I had just left that airport maybe 3 weeks before that happened, or after that happened. It's crazy. I went through that same exact airport. Like they weren't letting people in, out. It was crazy.
Yeah, that's mad. Like when my first year playing in like the top league over here, our American had been playing in Egypt during the revolution, and he was like, he couldn't leave the country, he couldn't leave his hotel, he thought he was gonna die. Like, oh, they didn't know what was going on, and then the basketball season still went on. So like they were getting like all these like police escorts while there was shooting going on outside them. Like,
yeah, you're sitting there in the gym playing a game and you're hearing rockets go off outside. Like,
yeah.
I don't know how you could do that, man. Rod, I want to ask though, when it comes to my team and stuff, like, do you like to use players that you like played with? Like when you see a new Tim Duncan card, that's your boy, gotta get him, put him in the lineup type of thing. Is that kind of how that goes with those type of cars?
Yeah, you know me, I'm an old head, man. So I like using like all the old guys that I know, Jawan Howard, like all those old guys that like y'all hate Tim Duncan. Like I'm still using Tim Duncan. As soon as I get him range extended, all the badges go on. Like I like to use the older players, guys that the younger guys don't like to use.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd love. What are you on about? We love Terry Dishinger.
Yeah, Terry Dishinger, best card in the game.
He's one of the best cards, though.
He's
really love the dentist.
He's definitely one of the best cards.
Do many like former players know some of the stuff that's happening to them in my team? Like Tim Duncan shooting from 40 feet. Because I remember Eddie Curry one time DM'd me on Instagram, and he was like, yeah, I didn't know any of this was happening. My kid ran up to me and was told him that he's now the best player in 2K. He was like, oh, my kid thinks I'm way cooler now. And I'm like, surely, I was like, dude, you average 20 points a game for a year in the NBA. Surely your kids should already think you're cool.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if they really reach out to those guys or not. If they do, they probably let them know so they can promote it. So,
right.
They probably don't really reach out too much unless they're promoting it or getting paid for it or something.
Yeah, we've seen it before. I mean, they've had Carlos Boozer on stream yesterday, and last year's Donovan Mitchell, Darius Miles, Quentin Richardson, all those types of guys. So they'll do promo and stuff, but not too often. I know, sometimes you get card like Dean Wade in 20 when DVG made him famous in the 2K community, Dean Wade tweeted out like, "I heard I'm the best on 2K or whatever now." So they can catch traction.
I will say at that time, like Dean Wade has obviously had 2 really good seasons since then. At that time, Dean Wade had played like two total games and was like on a 2-way contract. But he's actually playing really well for Cleveland. Like, he started 5 or 6 games. Like, he's legitimately in the rotation now.
Yo, Cleveland is playing well anyway, regardless.
Yeah, Jared Allen gonna be an all-star.
Yeah,
Cleveland's playing well. Yeah, Mobley's looking like a great pick. They're valid.
Yo, I'm loving
losing
his
Rubio
card
is
in
gonna
my
be tough,
team.
though.
The Mobley card.
Yes,
Picked up.
he's tough for me.
He's like 5K MT too for that price. You can't beat him. There's definitely no better centers for 5K.
He was thinking he was about to be 30.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna be 30K.
I remember when you put out that tweet as well, Chandler was going crazy on stream because he'd been buying up all the Evans to sell them for profit. He's like, you're ruining his investments. But who's your favorite card to use on my team right now?
My favorite card right now. I think it's been Gerald Wallace. Like, he hasn't left my team. Yeah, I love that card.
Yeah,
I have not had a chance to use him.
I think he's to me, he's one of the best defenders.
He's just like a huge player build too. Like, he looks like he's like almost 6'10", 6'11" on the court whenever you match up against with him.
Like, when I play with him, dudes do not score. Like, I like the on ball too. So on ball or off ball, like, you not gonna hit him with too many moves and just get to the basket.
Right.
Like,
yeah, he's such a good card.
Yeah.
Are you pretty high up for collector level then? Do you have like almost the whole collection and everything like that? Or did you stop it?
Yeah, I think I'm still collecting. I think I'm a few off of. I got 2,200. So okay. I'm like 50 off of Alonzo.
Yeah, you're getting close then.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll have it completed anyway.
Yeah, we got these heat checks coming out of season 4, so.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you think of season 3? Have you got Demar yet?
I don't have him. I still got like 5 more of those challenges. It's been kind of boring though in this season. Like, it hasn't really been anything. I mean, they kind of hyped it like it was going to be something, and then it was like,
yeah. When they called this season, what was this season called? Oh,
it's going to be historic. They're like, it's going to be a historic season.
Well, we'll see. Go ahead. I was just gonna say it started and ended well. It started and ended well when Clutch Time first came out. That was cool. The DeMar stuff is cool, but the 3 weeks in the middle of the season were like pretty brutal. The Hoopmas event was
Hoopmas
was the season called Iced Out or was it called Hoopsmas? I can't remember.
Iced Out, yeah.
Yeah, it was called that because the season's ice cold because there's nothing.
That's a fact.
Horrible season.
The DeMar stuff was cool
bad
though.
Seasons last year, and this is somehow like the worst.
It's how likely is it that the DeMar stuff was going to come if we didn't just go berserk?
0%. And I will say to anybody who thinks that the community can't come together and make changes in the game, this is a great example. DBG sat on his channel and on these podcasts, and other people in the community asked for moments cards, asked for agenda cards, and you know what they did? Get them both at the same time. Here you go. Can you guys stop complaining?
People still found a way to complain.
Yeah, I don't understand complaining about that. Like,
well, I don't. Much of a grind.
People expected DeMar DeRozan to be
too much online.
The best card of all time. I mean, the dude has 14 Hoff badges. There's 4 opals in the game, and he's free. If you got a problem with that DeMar DeRozan card, I don't know what you expect out of like free content on this game. He's playable. Like,
sure. Even if, I mean, what else is there to do? People who say something about that card just want to complain. I mean, we got a lot of those in the community complaining. So
And I'm going to stand by the fact that I'm not one of those. I will, if there's something that pisses me off, I will complain about it constantly, but I'm not going to just complain to complain.
But I mean, you have legit complaints though. Like they're legit.
Yeah. I do go overboard in them because, well, sometimes I haven't hit my daily quota of videos and I'm just like, let's just rant for a few more minutes here and make another video. Be grand.
I mean, I think it's fair. Like, when you heard the moments were coming, you were just saying it's a very good thing. Like, you know what I mean? It's this one here, this moment set pretty much separates the valid complaints from the people who are just going to complain to complain. Because if you don't like this, you're not going to like much. Because it's a pretty good concept. I hope they keep doing it.
No, like, simultaneously, the moments of the one concept was really good. And I think that should probably replace most moments cards. Because 2K seem to not want to put out moments cards. And it's understandable because it seems like nobody's opening them. And nobody's opening the packs. And 2K are like, well, we're not putting these cards in the game because they're not going to sell packs. But it's clear that so many more players came into the game because of these moments cards.
Yeah, 100% views have been up this weekend since the moments cards. It almost felt like it was a new season drop on the day the moments cards came out when, you know, you refresh the database and you saw 30 new cards. It almost felt like a new season, but it's not. New season starts next week. So it's a good thing. I hope they continue to do it. It's cool to check out those cards like Giddy and...
It's the closest... I was about to say, it's closest thing to Spotlight Sims.
Yeah, 100%.
They're probably on the way soon. Maybe season 4, maybe not. Probably season 5 actually. Yeah.
So we got
problem
Right
is
around
that
the time at 250k would be a good time to drop something.
I think
like that.
Park has kind of screwed 2K or screwed my team in a way, because last year there were like times where we had shorter seasons, and now every season has to be 6 weeks because of Park.
Yeah.
And 6 weeks is just too long for a season. In like March, it's too long.
Maybe the next. I don't know. Could next season be shorter considering they're making all the XP available? A1.
No, because it's Park. Park can't be less than 6 weeks.
Yeah, but they can.
They've announced when every season.
Teams of my team and Park teams different. Like they could.
No, they've already announced when all the seasons are starting. They can't change anything.
That is true.
So level 40 is going to be available day one of a 6 week season. But you know, according to the opposite end of the spectrum, the 2K can do no wrong, people. It's actually the player's fault for getting level 40 quickly. You know, it's actually your fault for getting to level 40 too quickly. Stop complaining. You just did it too quickly. You just played the game. Stop complaining.
I thought it was funny people were saying that about the clutch time rewards, because I got Michael Redd and Damian Lillard in one day. And I was like, there should be more rewards after this. And people just like, well, you don't have to not get off the game. It was a Friday that came out. I worked 8 to 5, got off the game at 5 o'clock, played till 10 o'clock, and I was done with clutch time for the season. That's a 5-hour gaming session. Is it a little much? Yeah, but that's not unrealistic. Like, that's, pretty normal.
There's that one dude who played like 700 games of clutch time and didn't get him once.
Did you get Red?
I didn't get Red. Nah, I didn't. I've been playing. I think I played maybe like 280 games.
Oh, wow.
I'm at about 250, I think, myself.
Do you like clutch time overall, though, Rod?
It's cool it's something to do other than Unlimited. Like, it's like an online game I can play real quick. Don't got to do 4 quarters. It's cool. Yeah.
I like it a lot because I work from home. So, like, I'm not just going to stop work middle of the day to take a break and play a game of Unlimited too often. But, if I'm, get my morning work in and have a little bit of free time or whatever, load that up, play a couple of those. It's nice.
And it's easy to test your players out. You don't got to do it in Triple Threat Online.
Yeah.
Just go right to clutch for a little bit.
Yeah, because Triple Threat is like, it's kind of hard to see. There's just so much spacing in Triple Threat. Like, anybody kind of looks good in Triple Threat, to be honest. So, kind of hard to see.
Facts. Corners always dropping for no reason.
Yeah.
I mean, corners dropping for no reason is a staple of 2K.
Yeah.
Which corners dropping is an intentional.
It's a feature, not a bug.
It's an intentional feature.
But yeah, 100%.
Because the main dev has said, when we stop corners from dropping, you're all just going to complain to me about getting alley-oop to death. Even though, like, anyone who's ever played basketball knows that if your tactic is don't give up the 3 at all costs, you're kind of cool with giving up the 2.
Right.
It's like if you're playing as the Warriors and Wiggins is going to the basket and Clay's in one corner and Steph's in the other corner, you're probably just letting Wiggins get the open dunk.
Yeah. I mean, it's game situational, obviously. Even bigger problem is when you are down by, or when you're up by 2 points, right? And you're up by 1 point and you're like, okay, I want to stop the 2, I want to stop the 3. Like, that's when it becomes even more situational. Rod is like somebody who obviously has played a lot more basketball than 99% of people who play this game even. Like, what would you say as far as gameplay you would change if you could, as far as like in-game mechanics go? Like, is there anything in game you see where you're like, man, like this is not right?
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Sometimes the way the AI rotates, like it's not normal basketball movements. Like they help off of the best 3-point shooter. Like that's just not normal. And they go and help for a 2-point dunk. Like you give up that dunk and not the 3-pointer. I wish that would be more realistic. I mean, they say they want to make the game more realistic, more sim-like, but then it's like the AIs play more like they're in high school than rather NBA players who've been playing basketball for 10, 11 years, but they rotate off of Steph Curry from the corner. And I know and I understand it does happen in basketball, like it does happen, but I think it happens too often and you can't control it really on this game.
Yeah, that's one of the one things I've watched so many of like one of the league gameplay devs videos talking about why the AI does what the AI does. And it's clear that like there are so many basic basketball concepts that are just not taken into account. Like in reality, especially at the NBA level, defense is try force your opponent's team into shooting the worst shot possible. Right. Because no one can really stop anyone one-on-one at that high level. But nothing in the way the AI works is programmed with that logic. It's all programmed in the logic of we're going to stop. If someone's open, we're going to stop whoever it is in the exact same way no matter what. Right. Unless, of course, for example, there are a few select situations with, say, Ben Simmons, where they'll leave Ben Simmons wide open. But then in 2K18, there was a problem where every Ben Simmons was left wide open, and then when they put a Ben Simmons that can shoot into the game, he's automatically left wide open. Yeah. It's like the settings, we have settings that we should be able to do what we want with the settings, but the settings don't work properly because the devs want us to do what the devs think should be the way we're playing, rather than the way that we want to play the game, which is, and then proceed to blame the players for not playing the game, quote unquote, correctly.
So what's the point of the settings? If
they'd rather know, I'm pretty sure that, am I wrong in saying this phrase, Jacob? But why would anyone need settings when our defaults, our adaptive coaching engine works fine? Has that phrase been said?
Something very similar to that, and I think
something along the lines of that is, yeah. Why would anyone need settings? Why would anyone need freelancers? Like more than 4 freelancers? They're things that have been said.
I think that they just are very, very also not worried about MyTEAM when it comes to programming the game. I mean, we saw that last year. They programmed the game for park and quick match, and then whatever happens with MyTEAM gameplay happens. The game isn't made to have a bunch of 99, 98 overall players running around out there. And, it's kind of mind-boggling because this is the game mode that brings them in the most money, but it's also the game mode that gets the least amount of look and attention when they're programming how the game itself actually works, which is kind of a head scratcher, but
the problem is it's not even programmed for quick match. Like, because with the Lakers in quick match, you can do all the MyTEAM cheese. There's always a quick match team that you can do all the MyTEAM cheese with. It's programmed for 2 guys to play 2K for 4 hours a week, that they can sit down in their living room and play Nets versus Lakers, and that would feel like a good basketball experience.
And it works well for that. It works well.
It works really well for that.
Especially on next gen,
really
it looks good. It looks good. Yeah. That's one huge thing on PS5. I will say, like the player models and like stuff like that. It looks really good. They knock that out of the park for sure from a very casual perspective. But when you're like us and we play the game, you know, for more time than the majority of people, you start to kind of see where the deficiencies are.
I feel like they cater to just to like the average player.
Yeah.
And so it just makes the game, I guess, easy for them. And if you kind of know what you're doing, I've heard you say this before, DBG, and I think it's true. Like if you kind of know what you're doing, it hurts you a little bit rather than if you just going down the court and just pressing square. Like that works. Because I play against some of my guys and they don't even play my team. I kind of make them play my team. And we get in the quick match and playing and they're just making some shots and doing certain things. And it's like, they don't even play my team. How do they even know how to do that?
Yeah. Like, I understand that to an extent. Like, making the game good for the casual. But there are certain things where it's like, that the only reason I can see it, I don't understand why they're not in the game. But you wouldn't even notice it with a casual. Like, things like the settings. Every year it gets harder and harder to do our settings.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like,
it's getting harder to just do basics like call plays.
Yeah.
It's about 50 button presses now.
In 2K18, we had, 4x8? We had like 20-something freelancers that we could choose from. We had 5 out, we had 4 out, 1 in. We could go, you know all the freelancers in the menu, when you click freelance and you have to scroll? You used to be able to access every one of those on the fly. But obviously, they just said, who needs to run more than 1 freelance or 4 freelancers at a time? So you have to pause the game to do any of that stuff. Like everything, you used to be able to do so many things on the fly that 2K just decided for some reason, nah, you're not able to do them on the fly anymore. It doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, I don't get it.
The thing that kind of concerns me though is, you know, if the game works for casual people and stuff, and that's what they want to say, they say, okay, we're making this game for your average player. Well, they have the own 2K league. They have people that are trying to make a living off of this game, playing it competitively. So you can't just throw that out of the window and say, forget these guys. You got people that are playing for $200,000. That's life-changing money on my team. So you can't just say, forget those guys. We're going to just do what we want. Like, it needs to have a little bit more attention as far as, you know, a competitive balance goes and things of that nature.
I mean, as 250,000 is life-changing money, but from their perspective, it's like a normal person giving up sponsoring a $5 tournament.
Yeah, they don't. That's nothing to them.
Yeah, they're not worried about that.
That's a Monday Moments drop where they've only given one Ruby card out. That's the first 17 minutes of Super Packs.
Rod, when did you start playing 2K? I know you said you played my team like since 3 or 4 years ago since you retired, but did you play like NBA Live back in the day? Like, did you always play games like basketball games and stuff?
Yeah, definitely. I played live, all the beginning 2Ks. But I didn't start playing my team until like towards the end of the year, 19.
Okay.
I was more of a park player, and then park kind of got boring. So I went and pulled a few packs in my team. Got lucky. That was the year the Anthony Davis set, that rookie set. Oh man.
Oh, yeah.
That's how
so many of those Anthony Davises and whoever else was in that set.
Hakeem.
I was loaded.
I was at AD, Hakeem, Alonzo were the Galaxy Opals.
Yep.
Pink Diamonds were Cat. Oh, I forgot who the other Pink Diamonds were. It was like Diamond Wiggins, Diamond Markelle Fultz, Diamond Aaron Gordon. I don't even know who the Pink Diamonds are. I'm annoyed I don't remember that full set.
They definitely pulled me in with that.
Tatum Pink Diamond. Tatum Pink Diamond. Tatum was under Pink Diamond.
My team
was
historian.
Bonga? No, Bonga was not in that set. He was like the next set.
Who was?
Bonga, but not Bonga. Bonga was in another set.
No, yeah, Bonga was a fan favorite at the end of the year.
Yeah.
That Bonga card was really good though. I remember using him, and I didn't even play 19 that much. I didn't really start playing like a lot until 20, so he was cheap enough and he was good.
Yeah. He was like Troy Don's original meme card. Troy Don memed Bonga.
6'8" point guard.
Yep.
Yeah, he was 6'9" back then.
Yeah.
It was funny, like, he was... I remember, like, used to make a few videos on an NBA channel, and, like, Bonga was listed as 6'10" before coming to the NBA. It was mad. Like, he was just, like, 6'10" point guard from Germany. He was 18. It's like, Jesus. This guy could be something special. Went in the end of the second round. He went in the first or second round?
I think second.
But then, yeah, and then he kind of...
Well, I saw he had
didn't really amount to much.
22 points and 19 rebounds or something like that last night in the G League, so he's doing well there at least.
He did?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had like 22 and 19 or some like wild stat line or something like something close to that.
That's tough.
I think he's playing for the Toronto 905, I think.
Go, man. Look at the Toronto teams. We're so good. Fred VanVleet had that triple-double as well, which is wild because he's like, what, 6... What height is he?
6 foot even, which probably means he's like 5'10". I don't know.
Mental.
Rod, were you listed at your proper height, like throughout your career? Or did you get
so I'm listed at 6'9". I'm probably about 6'8" without shoes. With shoes, I'm 6'9". Without shoes, I'm about 6'7" and a half, 6'8".
Okay.
And I was always listed at 6'9". Never anything taller.
So it's not too far off. Like I'm about, without shoes, I'm about like 6'1.5", and I've stood beside like Kemba Walker, and he's listed at 6 foot, and he was listed 6'1" for a while, and I'm like, he is legit 5'10", if even.
Yeah, he's short.
Like
he's short.
a lot of the point guards that are like 6 foot, 6'1" in the NBA are about 5'10".
Yeah,
but I have been listed as 6'9" since I was in the 11th grade. So,
okay.
What age is 11th grade?
Be 16, 17,
yeah,
probably.
16, 17 years old.
Jesus.
What was high school like for you as far as basketball goes? Were you at a big school or were you at a small school? Like, how was your high school? Like, were you 40 points a night, conference player of the year type? Like,
not at all. My freshman year, I didn't even really think I was going to make the team. I was tall, skinny kid, just like, I was into basketball, but I didn't really, I didn't take it serious. Tried out for the team. I didn't even really make the team. I didn't even have the grades. Ended up getting like a grade change. Coach just said he was going to keep me on because I was tall and skinny. I was like one of the tallest guys. And I played JV for 2 years. But once I got to my junior year, I kind of grew into myself. Got a little better. I wasn't averaging crazy numbers, but I got a few triple doubles in high school, my senior year. So, but I was blocking shots.
Were you like ranked high, or were you just one of those players who just steadily did well at whatever level you played at and ended up making it from that? Or were you one of those like high school phenoms? Like,
no, I wasn't a phenom at all. In high school, I had a few schools that were on me, but then I did a prep year. I went to a military school, Hargrave Military. I did another year of kind of like high school there. And that's kind of when I kind of got other big schools on me, looking at me. Clemson, Syracuse, Maryland, Villanova. Of course, I chose Clemson, but that's a whole nother story. But yeah, I kind of got those schools once I went to the military school. I had schools at the regular high school, but once I went to prep year, I got more and more schools.
Where'd you go to prep? Sorry.
Hargrave Military. It's in Chatham, Virginia.
Yeah, I was gonna go spend a year. I was going to go over the States for a year for prep to play basketball. Well, I wanted to play basketball. Yeah, they had no interest in me playing basketball. Like, I was like nationally ranked shot putter in Ireland, and they saw my high school basketball clips, and they saw what I was throwing a shot put, and they were like, "Oh, this guy's relatively athletic. He can run fast and jump high, and he can throw the ball far." I had a bunch of schools looking at me to play football. I'd never played the sport in my life. They were like, "Oh, he's a big guy. He's coordinated and he's strong. Let's get him to play football." Not a single school. Like, I was like, "Oh, what about basketball?" And I was emailing some schools, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you're not going to be playing basketball here." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just going to stay in Ireland."
Imagine you had taken that route, become a star quarterback.
Hell no, they would have put me into one of those positions where I'm just getting hit hard, or I'm having to hit someone else hard. Like,
you would have been a linebacker, 6'1", barely built,
knocking dudes out.
Yeah, DBG would have been lowering that shoulder, man.
hell no. I was never doing that. Like, I was never doing that.
I think you could adapt to probably being like a linebacker or something pretty quickly, even if you've never played the sport. Maybe. I don't know. I've never played football.
Football's a tough one, man. It's hard to judge how good someone's going to be at football because if you were to look at my high school football team, you probably wouldn't have guessed who the best players were because sometimes the big bodies are the, dudes who just don't like to get hit. And sometimes, the dudes who might not look like they might be the best might be super quick and just got good footwork on the line or, speed will kill in high school football. So, the fast backs are always going to be decent, but it's kind of hard to tell, man. Some people just aren't cut out for that. I was one of them. I quit after JV pretty quick.
Oh no, you could tell from my high school basketball footage that I like to hit people. There was a game of me, like I was at 6'1", but we had two dudes that were 6'6", 6'7" on our team. But they clearly didn't want to hit anybody. So anytime we played against a good center that was like 6'7", 6'8", there's footage of me beating the crap out of people. Like,
I hated playing.
I'm like, the refs aren't gonna call any. I was like, the refs aren't gonna call anything. Hit them as hard as I could, cheap shots, non-stop. I'm like, yeah, be grand.
DBG and the B stands for Bill Lambier.
You can get away with stuff when you're small. You can get away with stuff.
Oh, definitely. You can also exaggerate contact very easily. Anytime I'd see a dude who was 6'7" in the paint, I'd just go right at him, throw my body in the air. And it looked like I got hit pretty hard. Like, it makes sense, right? 5'10" guy flying into a dude that tall? Yeah, of course. It looks like I got hit. Probably did, Get to the line, take my two.
Europeans know all about exaggerating contact. We're kind of famous for it. Watch a soccer game.
At the same time, one of the best screen setters of all time, off ball, John Stockton. He'd grab people, he'd elbow them, he'd do everything.
Yeah.
The smallest guys in the league. The refs would let him away with murder.
Yeah, when you're that small.
Basketball, John.
Yeah, when you're that small.
Yeah. Who would have been the best player you would ever played against in whether it be college, in Europe, or in the few game or in the half season of the league? Like, as in that you would have had to guard it. Who was like the toughest player you would have had to play?
Would have or who I did play against?
Who you did.
I always say the toughest player because I played against Tim Duncan and those guys, but one of the toughest players I've faced up one-on-one was Chris Bosh. But I was a senior and he was a freshman. Man, like that dude could. Like a lot of people give Chris Bosh a lot of slack, but that dude could play. Like he really could play. He wasn't just a pick and pop guy though. That people see him as now. Like the dude could play in the block too. I guess the game's really not played like that, but he could do it inside and out. And he was probably one of the toughest guys I had to play against when he was at Georgia Tech for 1 year.
Yeah, he was with his years with his Raptors, like if people that might be younger, whatever, known from the Heat days or his older years, like he was a proper face-up for 23, 24 points a night type of dude with the Raptors. He was unreal.
Do you not remember the half a season after LeBron left before he went down with the blood clots, how good he was?
Yeah.
Like Wade was kind of like Wade's knees are kind of gone. It was his team and Miami were looking good before he went down.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
Bosh was the type of player that you could play through him. He could be your star player. He was in Toronto. He just left because they weren't going to win him a championship. But
like one of the most underappreciated things in Bosh was that he was able to leave a team where he was the guy and completely take a hit to his role and play his role perfect. Whenever he was needed to score, he still averaged 16 a game. He improved in his offensive rebounding. He became one of the more versatile defensive bigs in the game.
Yeah.
He was able to guard people on the perimeter. He was able to switch in the pick and roll if he was ever caught in it with LeBron, or if he was ever caught in it. He became a way better defender, way better rebounder.
He hit big shots.
He went from being he never shot the three ball in Toronto to becoming one of the best 3-point shooting bigs in basketball.
Yeah, he's probably one of the first pick and pop guys, stretch bigs.
Yeah.
Like he kind of created that position.
He was one of the first stretch bigs that weren't Matt Bonner or that weren't just these unathletic guys who just stood there and shot the ball.
Yeah.
He was one of the first stretch bigs that was actually like other than like Dirk, that was a star level player. It was an all-star level player.
Rasheed Wallace was pretty pioneer with that too. I mean, growing up watching the 04 Pistons teams, you know, you'd catch Rasheed coming down on the, like, pretty much trailing behind the offense, and, you know, they wouldn't pick him up very high sometimes, and you just pull it right there, you know, on the spot.
Yeah, I don't think she really shot that much in Portland, but when he got to Detroit, that's when he really became a big time 3-point shooter. Turnaround, jump shot, all of that.
Yup, I remember growing up watching that all the time. Man, it was so fun, and he'd like going to the games at the Palace back then, and the whole crowd every time he catch the ball would go "She." Like, he was just a fun dude to be a fan of, man. Fun dude.
Jacob, do you remember Jason Maxiell?
Oh yeah, man, Jason Maxiell, man, big number 54.
That's one of my good friends, real good friends, really good friends.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, I've only heard good things and stuff about him. Like, as far as a person goes, too, he was a good dude, man. You know, he's valid for the Pistons for like 5-6 years at least.
Yeah, he always told me he loved it up there in Detroit.
Yeah. No, my church one time went to a game, and they ended up sitting next to, I think it was his wife or something, maybe his family. I don't remember. It was somebody who was related to Jason Maxiell, and they said that like they were all super nice people too. Like, so definitely a good dude, man.
Max, dude was only like 6'6", but
he was big though. He was a big 6'6".
He was a big guy.
Yeah.
And he could really jump. That was the thing with him. He had really super long arms, and he just was so quick off the ground, like jumping. Because he used to dunk on dudes like 6'6".
Yeah.
Was he not a small ball center at times? He not played the 5.
Yeah, because he could kind of they kind of turned him into a stretch big sometimes too, because he was shooting some jump shots. I don't know if he plays center, but
he started getting way more minutes like after you know, the whole going to work Pistons kind of fell apart, you know, once Ben left and Rasheed left, and then all of a sudden, you know, we're left with Rip and Tayshaun are there alone with these guys like Will Bynum and Jason Maxiell, those types of players. That's when he was getting a lot of burn for them.
Right, yeah. Because he signed a contract with them, right? I think he did.
Yeah, he was there for
like a second.
Quite a long time, like 5 years at least, I think.
Yeah.
Was he with Orlando? Was it as well?
Yeah, I think that's where he ended up after. Pretty sure the majority of his career was with the Pistons. I mean, I can look real quick here, but
yeah. Did he have a sapphire card in 2K18? That was actually pretty decent.
He hasn't been in the game in a minute. Yeah, he was actually in Detroit for 9 years? 8 years or so?
Maybe.
Yeah, 8 years, it looks like. 8 seasons, and then he ended up for 1 year in Orlando and 1 year in Charlotte. I'm not sure if they were the Bobcats then or what, but...
Yeah, I think they were the Bobcats.
Yeah. It was a good thing that they changed their name. Like, man, that... Charlotte Bobcats had one winning season in their franchise history. They needed that name change.
I liked the jerseys,
I like the Bobcats theming, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the whole. I mean, I don't know. It seems tacky looking back on it now, but I guess at the time I liked it because I had the Emeka Okafor jersey when I was a kid. I must have liked the jersey. I don't know.
Emeka Okafor, man.
He was so good. He was so good as a rookie. He was so good as a rookie.
That's why I got the jersey after his rookie year.
On him on Ball Daily, or am I imagining that?
Maybe, because he made a comeback a while ago.
Thought you did, maybe.
Yeah, because he was just I always will remember the comeback because there's that picture of him wearing those SpongeBob jerseys in the G League. I can't believe they had those jerseys.
Was that G League or was it Big 3?
That was a G League jersey. It was a SpongeBob jersey, man. Like I don't know. Like if you guys are watching right now, just go Google like SpongeBob G League jerseys. Like this is something. These are the weirdest, craziest jerseys I've ever seen. Yeah, the first thing when you Google it is a...
Oh my god.
I'm going to pull it up on stream here because this is just...
That is hard.
This is just something.
Who thought this was a good idea?
He was so good that he went to the Olympics in 2004 with Team USA. He was literally part of... Albeit, like... the dream team that got bronze. the team nightmare, but like he still went to the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean that
The
04
number
team.
2 pick?
He was was he the year
He was
before
two.
the white?
Well, he was
the
one.
white
He was after
yeah.
the Dwight. He was after the Dwight.
Yeah. Well, he was
But he was a
crazy
lot-
at UConn. His UConn years were crazy. Didn't they win a national championship when he was there?
Yeah.
I think.
Yep,
Yeah.
and Ben Gordon.
Yeah.
Ben Gordon was so good as well for a few years.
A bucket. He was good.
He was
really
so good.
When did he play good with the Bulls? I think it was for a couple years.
Yeah.
Yeah, those playoff games. He had that one series against the Celtics where he went crazy. That one series. Then the Pistons gave him a big contract, and like it just never worked out there. I mean, that's that year they signed Charlie V, and then they signed Ben Gordon, and it just didn't work out like at all. It was pretty bad.
Charlie Villanueva was another 6'10" stretch that could put the ball on the floor. I
Yeah.
wonder why they don't have him in the game.
Has he had a card ever, DBG? Has he ever had a card?
Not in my team. Maybe he was in the game in like 2K13 and 14.
Probably still
But
in the
not
league,
since
then.
they've started bringing out promos, which was since 2K17. He has not had a card since 2K. Was he in? He's never had a promo card. He might have had a regular league card whenever he was still in the league.
He'd be another like phone maker.
Yeah.
6'10".
Shout out point guard Thon.
Yep.
Have you seen how badly he's struggling this year? He's
he
in
playing
like
with?
Israel, averaging 3 points a game. Like, he's struggling badly this year. Like I think did they send him home? Like, he's really struggling in Europe. He's one of those that's really struggling.
Yeah, it's not an easy transition. And then that's the thing, they want you to be the man. They want you to be the guy. So if you go out there and have a bad game,
Yeah, they could replace you.
yeah, quick. It's not, and that's another thing too that guys don't understand. Like in the NBA, you get a contract, it's guaranteed. You might go overseas and sign 1-year contract, but you're really on a day-to-day contract, no matter what it says.
Especially if you're American, because there's like limits to the amount of like non-European players that are allowed on every team.
Yeah.
So like they expect the non-European players to be the stars because you can only have a certain amount of them per league. So like you could be doing you could be playing okay, but if you're not playing like a star, they're like, well, we can use one of our like European player spots on a role player. We need our international players to be stars.
Right.
That's like even over here, like the standard of basketball here. I mean, there's the top 3 or 4 teams in our top league are okay, but like there's guys that are high level Division D1 players that have struggled even playing over here because they were like so ingrained in a college system. They were really good at their role and they played well. They didn't know how to create their own shot at any level. And then there are the best players that have played over here most of the time are dudes that played at like low level Division 3 schools, but were the man in those schools. Like a load of those guys tend to do very well over in Europe because they're used to kind of being the man.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of guys that come from those smaller schools go to Europe, and like you said, they're used to that load. They're used to playing like that.
Yeah,
so
like these are guys that they would never make it in the NBA. Yeah. But in certain situations, they might actually be more beneficial for a team than a guy who's a legitimate roster member of an NBA team.
I've seen a few guys though that go the European route first, like get good, get a name over there, and then come back to the NBA and kill it. And they weren't even really thought about when they went overseas at first.
Yeah, that's true. Again, Pat Bev and PJ Tucker.
Yep.
Both of those guys.
I played with PJ Tucker in Italy.
Really?
Yeah.
How was he? Was he? Did you think he was going to be as good in the league as he ended up being?
I mean, so PJ was drafted out of Texas as a freshman. PJ was really good. He was. I don't know if he was the Big 12 freshman of the year, maybe, but he had a really good freshman year. He left, got drafted, I think, by Toronto. He played like 1 or 2 years, and then he went overseas. But PJ was always really good. I'm never surprised at what he can do.
He played so well in the series there, Nets and Bucks last year in the playoffs. He played so well, man. Like, he did exactly everything he could have done, given his situation, what he was asked to do that series, etc.
And that series, I remember being on Twitter, and like you can see the people that didn't know basketball by what they're saying about PJ Tucker. Because Kevin Durant was hitting every shot Kevin Durant hit was a crazy shot.
Yeah,
like I think in one of those games he had 50. But there were pull-up 30-footers, hand in his face, spinning three-point shots, and they're like, oh, PJ Tucker can't guard Kevin Durant. It's like, there is not one player in the world that can. It's like the fact that PJ Tucker forced Kevin Durant into shooting them shots, and Kevin Durant, it wasn't one dribble pull-up. It's like, that's all you can do. Kevin Durant's just sometimes just maybe the best scorer that's ever lived.
Well, then everyone was asking, why isn't Giannis on KD? Well, get Giannis on KD. What's Bud doing? And I was one of those people until I realized how much of a defensive anchor Giannis was at the rim, because towards the end of the game, they were trying to get to the paint, and Giannis was waiting there just to swat the ball. So it all worked out.
You needed Giannis as a second-line defender. Like, Giannis has never been an on-ball defender.
He would get tired chasing him around all day.
Yeah, he needs to save that offense so we can bully on.
The thing about PJ that you probably wouldn't know is overseas or anywhere else, he's a 20-10 guy, 25-10. Like I think in the German league, he was like the MVP of that league, championship, MVP, everything. And then after that year, that's when he came to the league, when he killed in Germany.
I assume you never thought he was going to be playing center.
Nah.
That was him playing center for Houston.
But he handled it well, though.
Yeah. He did. Didn't get bullied a lot at all.
Nah. But I mean, the way the basketball is played now, you can have guys like that playing the center because they don't really care about twos. So they were basically like, please take a 2-pointer. Please.
Yeah. Especially Houston, where their entire game plan was based on an algorithm and not
right.
It was based on I wouldn't be surprised if they handed an algorithm to the coach or to someone that had some idea about basketball and was like, yeah, try and put these numbers into actual basketball, into some sort of basketball terms.
They tried to do it with their G League team too. Like before the Rockets really adopted it, the G League team strictly took no mid-range shots at all, only layups and 3-pointers.
Layups and three.
You would look at their shot chart and there'd be nothing in the area that's not behind the 3-point line or in the restricted key. It was layups and threes only. Nothing else was allowed to be shot.
Have you seen the video of Troy Daniels when he's with the Rockets G League team, the Vipers? And it's like, so it was like Troy Daniels has hit a record like 16 threes in a game. He shot 30. He's like, oh, well, I just keep shooting the ball. He was like, I'm told every time I catch the ball, shoot it. It's like, well, sometimes if I drive in and take a floater, the coach says it's okay, but normally I'm told not to. I'm just told shoot the ball. They got told. Like, obviously, it's never going to get that extreme, but like this is in like 2013, 2014, before any of this happened, and everyone's like, this is crazy. And now teams aren't that far off that in the NBA.
It can make for bad basketball to watch, though, man. Like, the Celtics shot 4 for 43 the other night, and I'm like, thank goodness I'm not a Celtics fan who's watching that game, because if I watch the Pistons go 4 for 43, which, trust me, they've been close a few nights here recently, yeah, it's not fun to watch. You know, if I watch them when they get to the hoop and, you know, they're just not finishing or whatever, it's like, okay. But if they're just sitting there putting up 43 threes, making 4 of them, like, I got to turn that game off.
Understand the logic of looking for the highest percentage shots, but I don't think that the analytics people that are telling the coaches what to do, that probably have more power, a little more power than they should, that they realize that if the defense is expecting a 3-pointer and you blow by them, and then they're expecting a layup and you pull up from mid, the defense has to adjust to that. If you're just shooting threes and layups, all defense are just like, okay, let's just give up the mid-range shot. They're not going to ever shoot it. And it makes it harder to get threes and layups. I'm all for analytics, but like the fact that they're trying to get rid of the mid-range game, I still think it's important.
I agree 100%. Go ahead. Oh, I was just saying, I agree. What was that, Rod?
I was saying sometimes I hate the way that they play defense, though. Like a lot of times when you're watching the playoffs, they switch every play, and sometimes it just doesn't make sense. Like, it's like they're playing right into the offense. Like they switch when they don't need to, but I don't know if it's analytics or what. But a lot of those guys that go on the analytics, they haven't even played the game. Like they're just numbers, just punching the numbers. So that makes it tough also.
Yeah, like I do think in general, like the introduction of analytics, like even if you just watch the games now, like the like efficiency of offense has improved a lot over the last 15, 20 years. But I just think it's not long until it goes too far the other direction. I really want a team to win a title soon with 2 post players.
I mean, the
So
Cavs are like running a 7 foot tall 3 right now. So I mean, and they're doing well at it. So you just don't know. It always seems like, you know, you get these like trends in basketball for as long as I've been watching, as far as the NBA goes, and they trickle down too to even like the high school level. Like I remember very specifically after Curry had won MVP, like the people I played with started shooting more. They wanted to, you started shooting from further would be the biggest thing. Started shooting from further, you know, don't got to toe the line anymore. We're taking 2-3 steps behind the 3-point line, but just kind of like one of those things, you know, one team has success with something, it seems like other teams start to try and do that as well. So if it happens, it might take over the league. Who knows?
Yeah. I would love for a team just opposite, a team like that, like the Cavs, to do well, doing something completely different to what everyone's doing.
Scoring is going to attract more people to the game also. The more points you score, people, that's what people want to see. I think that's what it's driven towards the money. I mean, people want to see highlight plays. They want to see 3-pointers. So that's what they're going to give you.
Yeah, we're not going to see grit and grind Grizzlies anytime soon again.
Nah.
My 04 Pistons, man. I loved watching those dudes, and those games would be 65-62. I was having a blast. I guess I'm just not normal. I don't know.
I mean, it's not like there isn't an appeal visually in mid-range scoring either. Like, watching MJ or Kobe highlights is still like a joy, regardless. Is it cool?
It is, but they were exceptional. Like, there's no, how many players nowadays can play from the mid-range like an MJ, like a Kobe, like a Melo? Because kids don't practice that anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's not like anyone practices it, because now everyone wants to pull from the logo because they want to be Curry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like, is it the case in America? It's happening in Ireland. I have not seen a kid like I watch a lot of our underage teams play. I'll play pickup a lot of time with like some of the national team players that are like 17, 18, like during the summers. I haven't seen a player under the age of 18 make a good post move in about 2 years. Like the footwork, make a good read. It's just, one dribble dunk, one dribble dunk, one dribble dunk. They're like, the kids are more athletic, but they can all shoot threes. But it's like little things like footwork, how to jab step someone, how to get someone out of a defensive stance. But it's like they're all able to shoot. They're all faster, more athletic than we all were. But it's like little things just aren't being taught anymore.
I think those type of like you said, with the jab steps and things like that, they don't really teach that stuff in college. They only really teach that kind of stuff on the pro level. Yeah. If you go overseas, they're teaching that to everybody. And that's why some of those young guys are so good, because they're getting taught that stuff.
Really?
Yeah, when they're 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
I suppose like you say, when you're in college, you're just learning how to get the ball, go up and dunk when the guard passes it to you. They're really not teaching you too many post moves, you know? So
yeah,
I think it's more on a pro level.
Yeah, Ireland's a really weird one, because we base all of our like coaching philosophies on a national level on America, but we are, as a country, are just unathletic people. So instead of basing everything in basketball on the European model, which is why countries with less basketball players than Ireland are a lot more successful, we're basing it on America. And for lack of a better word, there's an awful lot of I think we're struggling badly because of that. Because things like, especially nowadays, like kids don't learn things like post moves, jab steps, any of those things now. They learn how to do some handles that look cool but aren't actually going anywhere. They can make they're learning these one-on-one moves that they're never going to use in a game.
Yeah.
And they also are learning, they're all able to shoot the 3 ball, But if they're only able to shoot 3 balls off catch and shoot. The ball's kicked to them from a certain position. If you make them even move slightly to a side, they're struggling. Like when I was coaching, I coached a terrible team. Actually, I coached a really terrible team of individuals, but we were good because the guys were coachable. But like I'd be coaching against some guys, teams with 4 internationals, and I'm like, okay, they were like, oh, this guy's a shooter. I'm like, is he a shooter or has he just learned to shoot in a catch shoot situation? I'm like, okay, let's make him see if he can put the ball on the floor. Leave him wide open, but just don't let him shoot a catch and shoot. If he takes one dribble, leave him open. They couldn't shoot off one dribble, even if they're open. They only knew how to shoot in a scenario where it was just catch, rise up. So once you close out in the first one, I was like, close out, and once they don't get to catch shoot 3, leave them wide open, see what they do. And they didn't know what to do. These were good players.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a weird one. I just think the game's going. Sorry?
I said a lot of times those guys are programmed just to do certain things. Like even in the league, those guys are programmed. That's why they like when you see guys taking tough shots in the league, like it's because they practice that shot so many times in the gym that hand in his face, like that doesn't really even affect them.
Right.
Because they practice that shot so many times. It's just like in my sleep, boom, boom, boom.
I assume they know once they hit a certain spot on the floor, they know exactly what height they have to rise. Yep. They know exactly where they have to put the ball. That it genuinely doesn't matter who's there or where they are.
It's just exactly muscle memory at that point. It's just muscle memory. You can do it in your sleep. It's boom, boom, boom. Here we go.
I've seen Kevin Durant train back when he was young. I think when he was playing in Seattle, and they have hula hoops on the floor, and he's just like getting in the hula hoop, and that's when he's taking his shots. It was hula hoops. Small hula hoops in certain spots on the floor, like his money spot. And once he got to that spot, it was just like boom, right up. It's a bucket. So,
Rod, like, when you were younger, like high school days, who did you want to play like? Like, what were you like? Who were the players when you saw them? You were like, yeah, that's like who I'm trying to get like.
So I grew up. My favorite player, I was a Bullets fan, was Juwan Howard.
Michigan guy, man. I like that.
That's who I grew up watching. I grew up watching that Fab Five, so I was always a Juwan Howard fan. But I mean, guys like KG, those kind of guys, like I like to play like, or just like kind of watching and stuff like that. Rashid, athletic foreman, big guys, long athletic.
Yeah, makes sense. 4'6'9", I can see it for sure.
Yeah.
And you still
were
like
you a shooter at all, or were
you
just like traditional?
So in college, I really wasn't a shooter, but like I said, nobody really worked with me on my jump shot in college. It wasn't until I got like overseas when I started shooting jumpers. And again, like when you playing in Europe, you got to be able to shoot. If you really can't shoot, it's gonna be tough on you. But I didn't really start shooting the ball until I got to my later years. I started to stretch the floor a little bit.
Have you got any? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like coming from someone who's played in the NBA, have you got any favorites for like MVP, most improved this year, things like that?
I haven't even really been paying a lot of attention to the NBA, so I couldn't even say like most improved. I haven't even really been paying attention to it. I know that's terrible.
Fair. That's fair. I don't think even like us here. I mean, obviously being in Ireland is really hard to catch games most of the time because they're on at just crazy hours.
Yeah, so I don't have league highlights. So I can really only catch them like when they're coming on TV. And right now, like NFL is dominating TV. So once NFL is gone, I can start watching more.
Yeah. What's the biggest thing about like playing, whether it be playing the NBA, playing overseas, that like the average player doesn't know, or like the average person doesn't know? It hasn't even been like a part of these leagues.
What do you mean part of the leagues?
Like, as in like there is. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of a hypothetical situation. But like the like the amount of shit people talk on Twitter about the NBA that don't really know a thing about basketball.
Yeah.
Like, what's the kind of thing? What's the kind of like biggest misconception with that about like the difference between someone watching the league and someone that actually played in the league?
I think so. If you compare it, the guys I think in Europe are a lot more skilled than your average NBA player. Like, of course, you got your top guys who are really skilled, Kevin Durant, guys like that, Kyrie Irving. But your average NBA player, I would say, most Europeans are a lot more skilled than you think, than an NBA player. It's just that the NBA players are just so much more athletic, and that's what the NBA is built on, athleticism. Like, if you're not a super duper athlete, like it's going to be tough for you to play in the league.
Yeah,
really tough.
Or if you're Luka Doncic and you can just control the whole pace of the game yourself.
Yeah, he's a different type of player though. I mean, and the thing is, he plays the same way he played in Europe, which is kind of almost unheard of. Like, he takes that same type of slow down game. And you brought it to the league.
Yeah, I didn't realize how big he was until I remember standing beside him. I got courtside seats to his last ever game against Real Madrid in like 2017. Or say his last ever game against Barcelona. Sorry, in like 2018. And like I remember standing up near him. And he's legit. He's 6'7". He's listed at 6'7", but he's probably he's probably 6'9" in shoes.
Yeah.
He's huge.
And he's got good size too. He better watch out on spending those times in those summers, because he can turn into a fat boy for sure.
Yeah.
Better watch out.
You see the progression. He slims down every year, like right around this time, like right at the beginning of the year. I remember like even last season and this season, he comes in like first couple of games and he's definitely got a little extra pounds on him.
Yeah, as someone who has the natural Luka Doncic player build, I know how easy it is, or who has the natural Luka Doncic build, I know how easy it is. And there's so many of us that like that, especially over this side of the world, that Luka at like 14 years old could compete against 18, 19-year-olds. At 16, he physically, obviously he's not physically where he is now, but physically could compete with grown men. Everybody that's like that at that age, especially when it's like they're just more developed, almost all those guys start to put on weight very early.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like LeBron, who was just like, he was so much skinnier in the NBA when he went in. He was just absolutely ripped. Whereas there's a lot of guys that are just clearly just grown men when they're 19. Like,
he plays like a grown man. He's played like a grown man since he was a kid, though. That's what separates him.
Luka, or
Luka, yeah.
Oh, he was known as Wonder Boy for a reason. Were you playing in Europe at all when he was coming up, or had you finished?
Yeah, I was. We played against them. I was playing in Germany. We played a Euroleague game against them. Of course, we didn't win, but I got to watch a good bit of him. And I was telling people before he came over, like, listen, this guy is good. And the reason I was saying that, because people didn't know, like, he had guys like Rudy Fernandez. What was the other point guard? I can't remember his name, but he played in the league. Sergio Llull. And the thing about it was, Luka was the man on this team. And if you know those Spanish guys and the ego that they have, like, if Luka's able to be the man in front of those guys, this guy, he's got it. Like, he has something. Because it wasn't easy to be around those guys and play with them, like, with those superstar status.
I remember going to see that team, and they had Chas and Randall on their team, sitting on the end of their bench, and I was like, Chas and Randall 6 months later was starting for the Wizards. I know Wizards were tanky, but he was starting in the NBA 6 months later. Dude sitting on the end of the bench for an 18-year-old Luka, like, as the star. It's like, okay, yeah, he's gonna be that good. Actually, speaking of NBA players, were you in Europe when Ricky Rubio was playing?
Yeah, him and Fernandez were on a Spanish team, but he was like 15. This might have been my second year I was playing in Germany, and we maybe played a preseason game against him.
15 is crazy, because he was like that too. I remember in the Olympics, he had, what was it, in 08, I think, in the Beijing Olympics, when he balled out when he was like 17 or 16 on that Spanish team.
Yeah, he played.
he's been playing in the ACB since he's like 14 years old, and I mean the ACB is like the top league behind maybe the Euroleague in Europe, and he's 14 years old.
Like Rubio at 17 years old played 36 minutes in the Olympic final, guarding Chris Paul for Chris Paul, Jason Kidd, Darren Williams in his prime, putting it and went toe to toe with them like.
But that just comes from those guys playing against men.
Yeah.
Since he was 14. I mean,
yeah.
They play in big programs over there.
That's the thing. The talent level is a lot higher in America. But like, I think there's good and bad things. Good and bad things about guys playing against grown men when they're 14. Because there's a lot of them that kind of fizzle out. Like, there's a lot of them that could be great players that just get almost burnt out, or they just don't develop properly because it wasn't the right way. But then there's also guys like Luka, who it's been a huge thing.
Yeah.
It's been one of the main reasons why he succeeded. Like,
sometimes you have those European guys though that just they'll be really good when they're young, and then they get older and they hate the game. And maybe they got drafted and never went just because they just don't love it anymore. They don't want to deal with it. Yeah.
Darko.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've heard stories about like former NBA players that saw Darko playing in Europe, and they were like, no, Darko really was as good as they all said he was. It was just he went to the NBA and hated basketball.
Yeah, I never got a chance to see him play in Europe, so I couldn't really see.
No, I'm talking about like before he went to the NBA. Like when he went back to Europe, he was terrible. Like when he was like 18. Like they were saying legitimately, like there were former NBA players that were saying he should have been going above LeBron James. It was just he hated basketball once he went to Detroit.
There's some story about how there was some sort of pre-draft camp going on, and all the big names from that draft class, TJ Ford, Chris Bosh, all these guys were in one gym, and Darko was over in another gym, and word was getting around that he was playing so well that all the scouts had left the gym with all those big names to go watch Darko at this other secondary gym, and apparently he was just putting in work, like some crazy work, like.
But like he was a unbelievably skilled, mobile 7-footer who could shoot the mid-range well, could kind of shoot the three in an era when everyone still took a big man first. Like Darko is going, like, obviously hindsight's 2020, but no matter who was number 2, they were taking Darko. The Nuggets can say all they want that they were never going to take Darko, that they were so happy they got Melo. Obviously they were happy in hindsight they got Melo, but nobody was not taking Darko at number 2 in that draft.
Yeah, I think at that time too, a lot of teams were probably looking for like the next Dirk. He was a European 7 foot. They were looking for that next big European.
They thought Darko was going to be better than him.
Yeah,
they thought Darko was. I mean, you don't know how he could have turned out. Like
that's
18,
true too.
But at 18 years old, if you begin to hate basketball, like if you hate basketball at 18 years old, you're never going to make it in the NBA.
But yeah, like he's a perfect example. He probably was one in his country. They had that kid playing professionally since he was 12 because he was always huge, big. So they're like, go play with pros. And the way that they practice over there, I'm sure he hated it because you can't really be a kid. You're always in the gym. I mean, it's not like in the States, you practice one time a day. You go overseas, you 2 times a day in the gym, almost every day.
Yeah. But that's the case with it's the case with so many people. It doesn't matter where you're from in the NBA, where if you get drafted to the wrong situation, that could you just never know.
Yeah.
Like if Kawhi Leonard, highly unlikely if he wasn't drafted by the Spurs that he'd be Kawhi Leonard. He's like coming out of college, he couldn't shoot. He was seen as like he was expected just to be a really good defender, and he was seen as a rebounder more than anything in college.
Yeah.
Boardman gets paid.
Hey, the Spurs saw something. But the thing about that is, though, you can't really say it because the Spurs, they all, up until kind of then, they always drafted really well.
Yeah.
Guys in certain spots that you probably would think, like, who is this guy? Like, turned out to be Kawhi Leonard. Or Tony Parker went 28. And then nobody knew who he was, this French kid coming from Lyon, France, and he's Tony Parker. Or Manu Ginobili late second round pick. So I just think the Spurs did a really good job of drafting. They had a really good guys.
Yeah, like Manu was just. Oh, he's one of just the best players ever to watch. Some of the stuff that all he did was just magic. Was he as unathletic in person as he kind of looked? Obviously,
Manu was really
somebody.
He was really athletic. It just was really awkward looking, and that's what made him good. Like the things he did was just so awkward. Like he dunked on me one time in practice, but it was like he jumped off the wrong foot, but went with the wrong hand, just boom. So it was just always just so awkward. But he definitely made it work.
I'm always gonna say this with Luka Doncic. One of the most underrated parts of athleticism, body control, which Luka Doncic is as good as anyone I've ever seen.
For sure.
Just the way he can just shift his body slightly and just get you on his back.
Yeah, put the defender in jail, try and get him on their side, and all of a sudden they have the choice where they can either foul you or they can let you score. Like that's 100%. It's that's how he can be what he is. 100%. I agree.
Yeah, like athleticism is more than just running and jumping. There's other. Obviously, that is a very major part of athleticism. How fast you are, how quick you are off one step, how high you can jump. There are little things. That's when people are like, "Oh, Luka's deceptively athletic," or when they're like, "Oh, Luka's more athletic than he looks." It's like, no, he's definitely equally as slow as he looks. It's just that one part of athleticism he's very good at. His body control is good.
Yeah, that's a skill too. Because you can slow the game down and make people go at your pace. Yeah, it's a skill.
Rod, who are like some of your favorite guards to play with? Like, did you notice like a big difference between like the dudes you played at Clemson, dudes you played with in the league, and then like Euro? Like, who are some what types of guards or like any names that what guards did you like to play with?
One guard I really I don't know if you remember, he went to Kansas. Aaron Miles, you remember him?
I don't know.
Yeah, he was one guard. He was a pass first guard. I don't know if Aaron Miles played in the league. Maybe he did. But I mean, for me being a big guy, I was always good with like pass first guards. Like I'm not even gonna lie. When I went to Phoenix, like my whole initial thing was like, oh my goodness, I'm about to have the best year of my life. Like, because I was playing with Steve Nash. Of course, I didn't play at all, maybe but a few games. But yeah, pass first guards were big for me. Just because I was athletic, I like to run the floor. So if I'm getting a rebound, I'm taking off.
Hopefully, Steve Nash is another one. I spoke to, or I was at a talk from someone that was kind of on the coaching staff. I don't know how. Do you know was Dave Severance on the staff when you were there?
What was his name?
Dave Severance.
I don't remember. No.
Yeah, because I don't know how involved he was, but he was some way on the coaching staff. He was with the Clippers then for years after that. But he was saying that Nash was just like in an actual foot race, Nash wasn't fast at all. But it was just the stuff he did on the court was just at a pace that he just looked like he was moving a lot faster than he was. Is there any truth in that? That Nash actually
wasn't. I wouldn't say he
quick at all.
Was super quick, lightning quick. He was just. It's kind of like Luka. He controlled the game, like it was at his pace. Like he get it. He pushed. He slowed down. It was at his pace. Like I said again, I feel like that's a skill to just be able to slow the whole game down like that. Make it move fast, however you want. Like he's one of the first guards you saw dribbling across the baseline and boom, just keep on dribbling it on out like that. I mean, he was one of the first guys you saw doing that.
He was. Oh, he was so good. He was so fun. I just remember being like 10 years old, just being in awe about what Nash could do. I remember watching. It was 2005 that you were on the team. Was it that season that you were with them?
No, 2006 would have been.
6.
Yeah.
I just remember him in the game where he busted his face against the Spurs.
Was that when Robert Horry threw him into the scores table?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was like he'd come back on the floor and he'd score, so he'd do something crazy, and then he'd be taken off the floor again because the blood was coming out. And then he'd get it patched up and he'd come back on, he'd do something else. And he'd be told, the refs would be like, no, get back off.
Yep. It's crazy because the Suns, like, outside of injuries, that team could have won championships for sure.
They would have won. If Amari Stoudemire was it Amari that was banned for Game 7 of that series or Game 6 of that series?
Yeah, it was Amari because he came off the bench.
Ran onto the court.
Yep. It was Amari. And and that's how the Spurs got past him. Yep.
And then the Spurs swept. The Spurs faced the Jazz that year. And I like that Jazz team with like AK, Young, Darren Williams, Meadow, Core, Boozer, but like Phoenix were beating them, and Phoenix were beating the LeBron Cavs team in the final as well that year.
Yeah, those teams were definitely tough though. The Suns and both the Spurs. Yeah, you play for some good teams for back then. That's for certain.
Definitely.
Two of probably the best teams of their era, or two of the most iconic teams. They're two teams everyone remembers as well.
And the coaches, D'Antoni was in Phoenix, and Pop. I mean, of course, the Spurs.
What was it like with those? Like, what was it like with like Pop, especially? Was he as much as it seems from the outside looking in?
Pop is. He's the same way. You know, he's a straightforward guy. He's really cool. You know, he seems like he can be a dick sometimes, but that's just the way he is. But he's that way towards everybody. Like, he's yelling at me for something, he's gonna yell at Tim Duncan for it. If he messes up, Tony Parker, like all those guys. He had no cut cards.
So is Pop your coach in my team too then?
No, I don't have Pop. I did not grind.
D'Antoni's not even in the game anymore. I said D'Antoni's not even in the game anymore.
Oh right, he's an assistant for the. Is it the Nets?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's with Nash.
Yeah, he's on that bench.
Yeah, I still need to do that grind for the Steph coach card because I'm using Nash right now, and I don't know, something irks me the wrong way about not having the best coach. I want to make sure I get that done, but domination.
I want Steph Curry as my coach.
Yeah, who'd ever thought if you're just like some dude who don't play my team who hear that, they'd just be like, "What is this guy talking about?"
So we've been about an hour and a half. Do you wanna? Is there anything else anyone wants to talk about, or we leave it there?
We can leave it there, but just want to say.
I have one question. What do you got? What mode do you guys think makes the most money for 2K? Park or my team?
My team.
Because I kind of think Park.
No, I'm 99.99% sure. If Park made more money, they wouldn't be trying to constantly get people from Park into my team.
Yeah, because
there's like 4 level 40 awards on my team stuff.
Like, I spent some money on both modes, and I feel like just when I used to grind my player, like I would every morning I would wake up, I would go to the store, I would buy shorts, like stuff like those microtransactions. I think I would do that more than with my teams. I'm just like opening packs on Tuesdays and Fridays. But when I go to the park, like I was doing that every day. Plus I was buying boosts, which needed VC.
Yeah.
Like, I'm almost ashamed to say how many times I bought 450s on 2K, like back in the day. I mean, I'm a little ashamed of it.
I think the difference maker is that they got dudes who will put 10 bands, 20 bands into my team a year, where nobody's putting 10 bands in a park a year, right? You can buy every clothing article and all that for 10 bands. But with my team, they dropped that pink diamond Kobe, they dropped that opal MJ. They got dudes who just got more money they don't do with it. Sometimes not. Some people get addicted to it where they're just going to sit there and they say, I'm sitting down, I'm open packs until I pull this card, and they don't stop.
Yeah.
If you think 10 grand is the most people spend on my team,
no.
There is a YouTuber. Again, I'm not going to say who it is, that probably spent 30 in 2K21.
Oh my goodness.
I'm putting it out there. I reckon about 30.
Oh my god.
30K?
Think of where that money could go.
And the servers are going to shut off in like 6 months too. That's the worst part. Those cards are going to be gone soon.
At the end of the day, like he made his money back. Like,
for a YouTuber, it's easy. You can get your money back on that.
Yeah, for me, it's the principle. I just don't like doing it. I just don't like giving them my money.
Yeah,
I think for me, the biggest thing on my team, and like we always say, I like card collecting. Like when I was younger, I still have old basketball cards in the binder that I have. Like, I kind of feel like this is just the new age of that with my team.
100%.
That's what I have fun doing.
I wish there was a way that, when the servers went down, if they could make it so that you could like archive your cards.
Yeah.
So that like you could have like a collection book and you can look at your previous. So like we could still look at the cards that we owned in NBA 2K20.
Yeah.
That you could like look through like generations of my team. You don't have to use them, but just to see. So you can say, oh, I had this card in this game. I think that'll be really cool. Obviously it's been too many years, they're never gonna do it now, but I think if that's something that they could have came out in like 2K15, they could have stuck.
Yeah. Something they could do going forward, maybe.
Yeah. Oh no. I've been playing Unlimited all this time, and I'm playing Tex right now, and I'm only up by 8.
No way I could be playing Unlimited right now. And doing
I'm playing against the best FIFA player in the world. I'm legitimately playing with a dude I'm playing against a dude with 300,000 Twitter followers right now. I'm playing against like an actual professional gamer right now. I'm up by 11. But yeah, I'm like, oh, if I lose this game, it'll be a bit embarrassing.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you coming on, Rod. It was definitely definitely
fun,
I
appreciate
man.
you guys having me, man.
Yeah,
I had a good time talking a little.
Thanks for coming on. Yeah, link to Rod's Twitch will be in the description. So, yeah, go check him out. He's live quite a bit, and yeah. So thanks for coming on. And Jacob, it's probably a decent time to end it there.